What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. Today we're going to be taking a look at the top 8 deck lists from the Champions League in Yokohama, Japan, that had over 1,600 players in the Masters division. Getting a little bit of a look at some of the cards we're getting in Astral Radiance and what the metagame is developing to look like over there in Japan, where they've had the cards for a little bit already. We are going to look at 7 of the 8 deck lists. They don't have the 8th deck, but it is the archetype was including the new Enamorous V and the new Miltank, so we will look at those cards. We just don't have the deck list, but be sure to check back to hohonews.com periodically. They do update these pages with deck lists as they get those lists in. Before we start looking at the deck lists, though, shout out to my sponsors, PotownStore.com and CardTrooperGames.com. You can use code Celio for 5% off at both of those websites. Also, check out PokemonCard.io for viewing and sharing your own deck lists. Beast Coast Pokemon, which is a collaborative Pokemon YouTube channel that I'm a part of, and also my newest affiliation, Dragon Shield Sleeves. You can find links for everything in my description down below. So let's start out with the winning deck list, which was Mew VMAX, and it had 2 new cards in it. So let's take a look at those. The first new card is going to be Trekking Shoes, which is an item card that reads, look at the top card of your deck, either add it to your hand or discard it and draw 1 card. So this is interesting. It's a pretty aggressive item card that allows you to, at minimum, draw 1 card, at best, discard a card and draw the next one. So some decks want to discard cards specifically. Get Water Energy in the discard for Melanie, get Pokemon in the discard for Wormadam or Cleaver V-Star. Mew VMAX doesn't need any specific cards in the discard pile, but it does want to draw into its combo pieces, extra Fusion Strike energies, Alessa Sparkle, Mew VMAX, Power Tablets, Choice Belts. So Trekking Shoes at worst is just going to draw you 1 card, but if you look at that top card and you don't need it this turn, you can discard it. Like maybe if it's an extra Alessa Sparkle, an extra Stadium card, and you can discard it and draw 1 card deeper to keep looking for the cards you need. And then the other new card in this Mew VMAX list is Silene, which is a supporter card that reads, flip 2 coins, choose cards from your discard pile up to the number of heads, and put them on top of your deck in any order. So let's say you just hit the average of 1 heads out of 2 coins. You get to put something like a Fusion Strike energy or a Power Tablet, maybe even a Stadium on top to set it for next turn to bump Path to the Peak. This is a really interesting and very versatile card that could be used in a deck like Mew VMAX that aggressively uses cards and then sometimes might need them back later on. And it can even be seen maybe in control archetypes to get back things like Galar Mine, Boss's Orders, Crushing Hammers. So I think we'll see a lot of Silene in a lot of different kinds of decks, and it's a really cool supporter card. So specifically for this Mew VMAX list that won the event, they are playing the 1 Psychic Energy and 2 Fog Crystals and also the Pumpkaboo. So I do like the Fog Crystal Psychic Energy Pumpkaboo little package because the Fog Crystal is useful for multiple cards throughout the deck and multiple situational cards, being the Psychic Energy against decks like Whimsicott and then Pumpkaboo for decks that are using Path to the Peak. We will notice that there's no training court. I would like to see a training court over the old cemetery, but it looks like it worked out for them fine. So maybe don't fix it if it's not broken. Other than that, a pretty standard Mew VMAX list outside of the newer cards. In second place is Arceus VSTAR Intellion, the straight water build, but it does have a 1/1 line of Surfing Pikachu VMAX. Now, this is not a meme. This is not randomly put in there. This was done with a lot of intention and thought. So, one of the strongest cards in the Japanese metagame right now is Palkia VSTAR. Palkia V-Star is 280 HP. It's a pretty good beat stick card that does 60 plus 20 more for each benched Pokemon, so it does a maximum of 260 before things like Choice Belt, and it's weak to Lightning. So this is one of the biggest cards in the format over there, and it's weak to Lightning. Surfing Pikachu is Lightning type, but takes water energies for its attack. So this 1/1 line of Surfing Pikachu VMAX just fits so well into the Arceus Intellion archetype. You don't have to mess with the water energy counts at all. You can still use Melanie to power up your secondary attacker. It just works really, really well, and it counters Palkia VSTAR, since Surfing Pikachu VMAX can just one-shot the Palkia VSTAR. So that's a really, really sick tech line inclusion in this deck. And then we'll also see another new card, or actually just the only new card in this deck, since Surfing Pikachu VMAX has been out for a while, but the new card in this deck is Roxanne. Roxanne is a supporter that you will be seeing a lot of. You can only play it if your opponent has 3 or less prize cards remaining, and then both players shuffle their hand, you draw 6, and your opponent draws 2 cards. So you can put your opponent down to a 2-card hand if they took prizes to put themselves down to 3 or less prize cards remaining. I think we'll see a lot of games being decided by this card in a way that we currently see Marnie plus Path or even Boss's Orders deciding games in the current format. Other than that, though, I think you can just kind of take this Arceus build and start trying it out in the Astral Radiance format with Palkia VSTAR coming out. The Surfing Pikachu VMAX is a really sick inclusion if you feel like you need that tech against the Palkia decks in your Arceus VSTAR Intellion decks. Next, in third place, we have another Mew VMAX deck. This one is not playing any basic energy, and it is also not playing the Pumpkaboo. It is playing 4 of that trekking shoe card that we looked at instead of just 1, which the first place list had. It also has this stadium card called Player's Ceremony, which this is a card that we've seen in recent we saw it as a Sun and Moon promotional card, as well as a Sword and Shield promotional card, and I'm not sure why Limitless is not translating this for me right now. There we go. It wasn't on automatic translation. So it's a stadium card that's kind of similar to Tropical Beach. It reads, once during each player's turn, that that player may draw 2 cards, and then that player's turn ends. So if you look here, we've seen it in like stall decks in the past in Japanese tournaments, but this card has never come out in North America. It's never been legal for any of the North American formats. It's only been a Japanese card. So the Mew player here seems to have chosen to play it as like an early turn option to draw extra cards, because it ends the turn. So you're typically not going to be using it later in the game because you don't want to just pass as Mew. You want to be drawing cards. So maybe a turn 1, maybe even a turn 1 going second kind of option, but probably not much past that. So I'm not sure how much I really like that inclusion in this deck. They're also playing the Silene here in the top 4 list of Mew VMAX. So the last top 4 deck from the Champions League Yokohama is this Intellion kind of dark focused, but still toolbox style deck. The new cards in this are going to be Irida, I believe is how you pronounce it, and Hisuian Heavy Ball, but also a couple cards to talk about here that we haven't really seen much play from, but have been out, are the Raikou V and the Zeraora. Note that the Hoopa is the 90 if it's become active for 1 dark energy. That's just a different art that they have in Japan. So the Raikou V is pretty much the same card as Suicune. It has 200 HP, it has 1 retreat, and the ability is Fleetfoot, draw a card if it's active, and the attack is Thunder Rondo, the same as Blizzard Rondo. So that's good against Palkia, because Palkia is weak to lightning. And then Zeraora is an older card from Vivid Voltage, but we'll take a look at it since you might not know what it does. Fighting Lightning does 30 for Lightning colorless, and if the opponent's active is a V or GX, it does 80 more, so that's 110. With a choice belt, that's 140. That means you can knock out a Palkia VSTAR if it doesn't have like a big charm or anything on it. Also in the deck, Sableye, Baby Moltres, and Baby Hoopa. So an Intellion dark style toolbox kind of deck. Now let's look at the other new cards. We have Hisuian Heavy Ball in here, and also Irida. So Hisuian Heavy Ball, look at your face down prize cards. You may reveal a basic Pokemon and add it to your hand, and then you put this Hisuian Heavy Ball back into the prizes, then shuffle your prizes, put them face down. So this is good for a teched out toolbox like this. You know, if your Zeraora, your Zapdos, your Raikou, your Sableye, if any of those are prized, even your Manaphy, if you're playing against Rapid Strike Urshifu or Jolteon or something that does bench damage, you know, you see that one of those are prized, you can just drizzle for Hisuian Heavy Ball and grab that from your prize card. So I really like Hisuian Heavy Ball. I'm glad that we have an option like that to kind of accommodate and inspire more teched out lists. The other new card here is Irida. I don't know. I'm probably going to be saying this all kinds of wrong, but it's a supporter card that says search your deck for a water Pokemon and an item card and put them into your hand. So water Pokemon are pretty good when you're playing the Drizzile Intellion engine. And we have a ton of good item cards in here, ranging from consistency cards like Quick and Level Ball to Scoop Up Net that's offering utility, and also tool cards like Choice Belt and Toughness Cape. So plenty of options to search out. So essentially it can get you 2 item cards if it's getting you the Drizzile plus an item, or even it can get you an Intellion and an item, getting you 2 trainers plus an item. So pretty strong supporter card in this deck, I'd say. Moving on to the top 8, we have another Mew VMAX list playing 3 Trekking Shoes, none of the Silene, and no other new cards outside of that, but they are playing a Palpad just for their 6 supporters, which are 3 Boss and 3 Alessa, playing the Training Court and the 1 Basic Psychic with a Fog Crystal, no Pumpkaboo. We also have another Mew VMAX list in top 8 with 1 Trekking Shoes, 1 Silene, and the 4 Tower of Darkness as their stadiums, because you can just bump the path and then discard your other extra stadiums. Or against non-path decks, you just have an extra little bit of draw support in the deck. They are notably playing all special energy, no basic. And then the last deck in top 8 that we'll look at here is going to be the Palkia VSTAR deck that we've talked about so much in terms of why people are teching against it. Let's look at the main cards of the deck and the new cards. So Palkia VSTAR has the ability Star Portal. This is the VSTAR power. Attach up to 3 water energy from your discard pile to your water Pokemon in any way you like. It does not have to be V or non-V. It just has to be water Pokemon, active or benched. And then Air Swell does 60 plus 20 more for each benched Pokemon. Because of the Star Portal ability, I'm kind of surprised that these lists don't play Cheryl to just go ahead and Cheryl your Palkia V-Star and then power right back up with the ability. But I have not tested this format yet, so maybe there's reasons to why that is not popular right now. Another new card in this deck that's going to be pretty important is Sparkling Greninja. It has the hitting card ability. Once a turn, you can discard an energy from your hand to draw 2 cards. And then Moonlight Shuriken, which is actually a really good attack. Discard 2 energy, and it does 90 to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. And you can power that Moonlight Shuriken up with Palkia V-Star in just 1 turn with the ability without even using a supporter card towards it. So I think that's really, really strong. And the last new card to look at in this list is the Temple of Sinnoh. All special energy in play provide 1 colorless energy and have no further effect. This can be very strong against Mew with their double turbos and their fusion strike, and just a lot of decks that use double turbos, namely Arceus decks. So this is one of the top decks in their format over there in Japan right now, and I definitely think it's going to be popular and successful here as well. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about was we know that the top 8 deck that is missing today was including Enamorous V and Miltank here. Actually, Happiness V. we're gonna do a quick search here real quick, guys. I thought it was Enamorous V, but you're gonna get to see some behind the scenes searching to translate what this card is. It's Blissey. Okay, so the other top 8 deck was Blissey V with Miltank. We don't have a list for that, but that is kind of odd, actually. But the Miltank here, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by your opponent's Pokemon V, and it does 10 damage plus 20 more damage for each of your opponent's benched Pokemon, but it can't be damaged by Pokemon V. Things like Mew VMAX's Max Miracle attack obviously gets through this, but that's really interesting that the top 8 in a 1600 plus event was Blissey v Miltank. I might just end up doing a video all on this list if we ever actually get to see it, because that's actually very interesting. I don't know why I thought it was an Enamorous V deck when I saw Happiness V, and then I saw it and I immediately was like, oh, wait a second, I think that's Blissey. I don't even know if Enamorous V is out in Japan yet or was legal for this event, so that's that's pretty funny. But yeah, those are the top 8 lists from the 1600 plus event Yokohama Champions League over in Japan that was held on May 8th. So thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions or comments or anything of the sort, you can leave it down below. And I appreciate y'all watching today's video. Be sure to subscribe for daily Pokemon TCG content, and I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.